Good morning from Athens, Greece. It is 9:30 here on this Monday morning. Let's talk about the French Parliament elections. The second and final round of the elections took place in France over the weekend, and you have one big defeat for Emmanuel Macron and his alliance, his coalition, which needed 289 seats in the parliament in order to have a majority. And they ended up well short of that 289 number. They are projected to get 234 seats in the National Assembly. The left coalition of Mélenchon, they are projected to get 137 seats in the parliament. And the big winner of the night, the big historic breakthrough, is coming out of Marine Le Pen and her right populist coalition, which is projected to get 89 seats in the National Assembly. A big win for Le Pen, a big loss for Macron. Macron is going to have a very difficult time getting his domestic agenda through because he is well short of a majority in the parliament. And the domestic agenda, which has to deal with the fiscal policies, budget, spending, and all of these things, well, it directly affects foreign policy decisions. And so Macron was delivered a big L on Sunday with these parliament elections. And no doubt about it, this defeat is due to the fact that economies in Europe are sinking and they are collapsing. And we're seeing it in Estonia with the Estonian coalition, the government coalition, collapsing. We're seeing it in Bulgaria, where the ruling Bulgarian government coalition is collapsing. We're seeing it in the UK, where Boris Johnson is on his last legs as prime minister. And now we are seeing a big defeat for Macron in France with regards to these parliament elections. So how is this economic war of attrition working out for you, Europe? How is it working out? Not too good, I think. And sticking with Europe and the situation with the economy, specifically energy, we have news coming out of Germany that Germany and Italy, as a matter of fact, that the German government is now firing up coal factories and coal power plants in order to deal with shortages in gas. So in order to conserve gas for the winter, the German government has decided to fire up those very green, those very climate-friendly, green-friendly coal power plants. I saw the same thing here in Greece about a month ago, where the Greek government decided that in order to conserve energy and to save up on gas, they are going to fire up their coal power plants, which were pretty much sitting idle for many years because of the green agenda. Well, now those coal power plants are being fired up, not only in Greece, but now they're being fired up in the very green conscious, very green aware Germany. And I'm sure that this is fantastic news for Brabak and Habeck, the two Green Party ministers in the Schultz government. So on the one hand, you have the EU and all of these European leaders talking up renewables and the Green New Deal and green energy, while on the other side of things, they're firing up those coal power plants because they see the writing on the wall and they see that they're going to have a very difficult winter because of the sanctions that they placed on Russia, which were meant to destroy the Russian economy and lead to regime change in Russia, but have actually now led to government collapses and parliamentary defeats in Europe and the sinking and the collapse of European economies. So that is the news coming out of Germany. And while we're talking about Schultz, after his visit to Kiev, Schultz gave an interview to a news agency called DPA, where he said that it is time for the EU to reform its voting process, how it lets in candidate countries, how it approves candidate countries into the EU. And Scholz believes that the EU should scrap their unanimity requirements for admitting countries into the European Union. Supposedly, he even told this to Zelensky as well. He said that he is hoping to scrap the unanimous requirements for letting countries into the EU. And Scholz, talking to this DPA news agency, he came out with this quote: "To do this, to get rid of EU unanimity, it has to modernize its structures and decision-making processes. It will not be always possible to decide unanimously on everything that has to be decided unanimously today." Very interesting quote coming from Olaf Scholz. And basically Olaf Scholz referenced the fact that Austria wants candidate status for Bosnia, while Romania wants candidate status for Georgia. And then when you have all these candidate status countries, you have to have a unanimous vote to let them into the bloc as well. And Olaf Scholz is really upset with all of this unanimous voting from the EU. And he would prefer something along the lines of a majority type of voting system. And I'm looking at the list of countries that the EU wants to expand towards. You have a candidate country in Turkey, you have a candidate country in Serbia, now you have Austria talking about Bosnia, you have Romania pushing for Georgia, you have potential candidacies in Ukraine and Moldova. How much more does the EU need to expand? Is the European Union going to look towards Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, and I don't know, maybe go all the way to Mongolia and China? I mean, is that the plan of EU expansion? I mean, it's the minute you see an organization, an institution, even a club, scrap its rules for unanimous voting and go to a will take anybody type of structure, that's when you know that that organization or institution or club is over. It's finished. The minute you get rid of exclusivity and you get rid of the rules that made it difficult to enter the club, which was seen as entering an institution or a club that was an incredible privilege to be a part of. The minute you make those rules, you lessen those requirements, and you make it easier to enter, is the minute that you understand that this institution or this club or this organization is going down the tubes. And so that's what we're seeing with the EU. The EU is not an exclusive alliance or membership of countries anymore. It's a will take anybody type of bloc, type of membership. We'll take anybody. Everybody, just come on in. The door is open. As long as you submit to our EU values and neoliberal economic policies and allow us to enter your country and pillage your state coffers, well then, you can come on in. And all the EU is looking for are corrupt leaders who are sinister and evil enough to actually subject their country and their citizens to EU rule and EU austerity. That's it. That is what the European Union has become. This is not about Europe anymore. It has nothing to do with Europe, because look at to where they're expanding. Just the fact that the EU has expanded to Cyprus is questionable. Turkey is questionable. Georgia? I think the European Union is pushing it. Ukraine? Pushing it. So the European Union is not about Europe. This is a neoliberal project meant to enrich the globalist class. That's simple. So those are the statements coming out of Olaf Scholz. Now let's get to the statements coming out of the UK Army Chief, who is telling the army that he is now in command of, because he has recently been appointed this new position. He is telling his army to prepare to fight World War III and to fight a European land war with Russia. This is the title coming out of the Daily Mail. It says, "Prepare to fight and beat Russia in the Third World War. Britain's top general warns." New UK Army commander tells troops to brace for European land war in tub-thumping message as tyrant Putin menaces ex-Soviet states. You got to love the Daily Mail's titles. They are just way over the top. Anyway, Britain's top army general has told his troops to prepare to fight and beat Putin's armies in a European land war. It has emerged tonight. General Sir Patrick Sanders, who assumed overall command of the British Army this week, warned soldiers, "We are the generation that must prepare the army to fight in Europe once again as Russia's invasion of Ukraine rocks global stability." General Sir Patrick Sanders said that I am the first chief of the General Staff since 1941 to take command of the army in the shadow of a land war in Europe involving a continental power. The scale of the enduring threat from Russia shows we've entered a new era of insecurity. It is my singular duty to make our army as lethal and effective as it can be. The time is now and the opportunity is ours to seize. He's right on one thing. It is his duty. It is his singular duty to make the army as lethal and effective as it can be and to protect the United Kingdom. That I agree with. That is his singular duty. I put the protect the United Kingdom in there, to protect the interests of the UK. That I put in there. But yeah, an army is there so that it can win wars, so that it can kill. That is what an army is there for. So yeah, an army has to be lethal. No doubt about it. Now, his goal of taking this army or creating a lethal army so that it can fight a land war with Russia, well, I wouldn't recommend that to be your mission statement, General Sir Patrick Sanders. I would not start out with a mission statement of our goal is to fight Russians, to fight a land war with Russia. I think we've all seen through the many centuries of history what happens when an army makes it their singular goal to fight a land war with Russia. We've all seen the outcome of those types of machinations. And UK would fare no better than the other armies that have tried to fight a land war with Russia. So, very interesting statement coming out of General Patrick Sanders. Sir General Patrick Sanders. Of course, he may just be talking things up because he wants to get more money for the military and pump up the military's budget. I understand that as well. But I also think that the UK has kind of hit this very strange level of hysteria when it comes to fighting Russians, and this Ukraine conflict has definitely brought out much of the Russia hating and Russophobia from the UK elite class. And the other question that I would like to pose to General Sanders is why is it the imperative of the UK army to fight a land war with Russia anyway? What does the UK have to do with Ukraine? Because he mentioned that we're seeing a land war between Russia and Ukraine. That's fine. I mean, yes, we are. We're seeing a war there in and around Europe. But what does a war in Ukraine have to do with the UK? Is the UK in some sort of an alliance with the Ukraine? Is there some sort of treaty or pact between the UK and Ukraine which says that if one country is attacked, the other country has to come to its aid? I don't think there's any such treaty or alliance. So the fact that this general is coming out and saying that the UK army needs to prepare for a land war with Russia because of what's happening in Ukraine is a very strange statement, a very odd statement. Now, if the UK is attacked by Russia, if the Russians march all the way to the UK, well, that's a different story, but I don't see that happening. So, very strange statement from General Sanders, but very much in line with the overall hysteria that has gripped, the Russophobia and hysteria that has gripped the UK globalist elite class with regards to Russia. And even Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, said in a statement the other day, he said to the BBC that Liz Truss and Boris Johnson want to bring Russia to its knees. Sergei Lavrov said, "Go for it. Do it then. You want to fight? You want to fight Russia, General Sanders? You want to fight a land war with Russia? Do it. Go for it." That was Sergei Lavrov's statement to the BBC when he was addressing Liz Truss and Boris Johnson. Should we go up here? Let's go up here. I've never been to this area, this park, so I don't really know where I'm going. But Sergei Lavrov came up with another statement the other day in response to all of the bellicose rhetoric that has been directed at Russia over the past, say, 3-4 days. You have NATO changing their tune from Zelensky needs to accept territorial losses to NATO weapons are going to take back the Donbass. That is what Stoltenberg said just yesterday. You have Ursula van der Crazy saying that Ukrainians need to fight the Russians and die for and die in Ukraine in order to fight for European dreams, the European perspective. You had Ursula von der Leyen saying that statement. You had Mark Rutte saying that the EU and NATO will never fight Russia, but let's let Ukraine fight Russia for us. And you had the Washington Post article that came out the other day saying that the Biden White House, the US and their allies are in Ukraine for the long haul, for the long term, to fight the Russians. And so you had all of these statements coming out over the past couple of days, which were contradicting the statements that were coming out just 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, you were hearing about how Zelensky needs to negotiate and how he needs to accept territorial losses. And now you have statements which are saying we are going to fight the Russians till the very end. And Lavrov, giving an interview on Rossiya 1 TV in Russia, I think he wanted to address these very aggressive, bellicose statements coming out of the collective West. And he said this, he said, the US, are pursuing a goal they have long made public. Russia must know its place. Russia must have no voice in international affairs. Russia must abide by the rules set by the US, the minister stated. And Lavrov added that Washington is apparently well aware of the fact that it would not succeed. That's an interesting statement. Washington is well aware of the fact that it would not succeed. So those are the words from Sergei Lavrov. And let's talk about, since we're talking about America and Americans in Russia, let's talk about the fact that the American prisoners, the American foreign fighters, mercenaries, they are now prisoners of war, from what I'm understanding, that were caught in Kharkov. They have now been shown on Russian TV. Their videos were shown on Russian television. They have been referred to as prisoners of war. The videos were circulated on Friday, and the State Department said that they had seen the photos and videos of these 2 U.S. citizens reportedly captured by Russia's military forces in Ukraine, and the State Department is closely monitoring the situation. The U.S. is not disputing the accuracy of the footage, and the statement constitutes initial confirmation from Washington. So the 2 American military veterans previously feared captured by Russia after they volunteered and fought for the Ukrainian army have appeared on Russian television, apparently as prisoners of war, POWs. So it's been confirmed that that these 2 guys are in the hands of the Russian military, and they were indeed captured in Kharkov. And as I just read you, it looks like the State Department is not disputing that fact either. So that's the latest update with these guys. And should we do a clown world, or should we talk about, let's talk really quickly about Kaliningrad again and Lithuania, because this story is starting to gain traction, and unfortunately it's going to turn out very bad for Lithuania. Very, very bad. I don't know what Russia's going to do, but it's going to be asymmetrical, and it's going to cause Lithuania and Lithuanians a lot of hardship and pain. But the government did it, and I don't know what the government gains from this. Anyway, we have more news, more statements coming out of Kaliningrad with regards to the fact that Lithuania has decided to close off the railway systems from Russia to Kaliningrad, the railway systems that provide all kinds of construction and building materials and other supplies. Under the EU's fifth package, this is the excuse that Lithuania is using, under the EU's fifth package, you're not allowed to transfer Russian goods over EU territory or through EU territory. So that's the excuse that they're using to block the railway passage of supplies from Russia to Kaliningrad. And the mayor of Kaliningrad has come out with some statements. He's telling the citizens not to panic, because the citizens in Kaliningrad, understanding that they may be short of supplies, or thinking that they may be short of supplies, they started to panic and go out and shop for a lot of stuff, to start to hoard materials. But the mayor told them not to panic. The governor, not the mayor, Anton Alikhanov of the Russian Oblast, which has a total population of some 1 million people, with Kaliningrad city including almost 450,000 and 800,000 total if outlying suburbs are counted, is urging calm, urging citizens not to resort to panic buying. Alikhanov said 2 vessels were already ferrying goods between Kaliningrad and St. Petersburg, and 7 more would be in service by the end of the year. Our ferries will handle all the cargo, he said on Saturday. So the governor of Kaliningrad said our ferries will handle all the cargo. 7 more ferries coming into operation by the end of the year. Russian officials and media have long warned against what they dubbed Western aims to blockade Kaliningrad. Crucially, the EU enforcement measures being implemented from Vilnius marks a complete break in a 3 decades-long treaty that's been in effect. A 3 decades-long treaty that's been in effect has now been broken. And there is some more commentary, and this is coming out of a Kremlin official, a Duma official, according to an April 6 statement in Russia's task by a State Duma official. Statements from the West about a possible blockade of Kaliningrad is testing the waters, but Russia can break the blockade in case these threats become a reality. It has an experienced Vladimir Zabarov, first deputy head of the Federation Council Upper House's Committee for International Affairs, said on Wednesday, I think that for now, this is a game testing the waters. In case of a blockade, as they are saying, the Soviet Union knows how to break the blockade. We, Russia as a successor of the Soviet Union, have vast experience, the senator said. If they want to go to the length of making us break this blockade to save the lives of our people who live there, we can do this, Zabarov said in a video interview at the press center of Parlamentskaya Gazeta. He expressed hope, however, that the West will have enough brains to opt against it. Well, these are some of the statements coming out of Moscow, coming out of the governor's office in Kaliningrad, and coming out of the State Duma. We're going to break this blockade, or we can break this blockade. Look, I think that it's clear the Russians are going to now transport everything needed to Kaliningrad via ship. So all the cargo is going to get ferried into Kaliningrad, and that's going to do the job there as far as getting supplies to that enclave. But Lithuania has done itself a lot of damage. And for what? I really don't understand. What does Lithuania gain from this move? Was there not anybody in Lithuania, in the Lithuanian government, who said, you know what? The EU is telling us to block the railway, and that's fine. We can block the railway because Ursula von der Crazy wants us to do it. We can do that, but it doesn't really accomplish anything because the Russians are still going to be able to get supplies into Kaliningrad via sea. So what does this move accomplish on a strategic level? Nothing. All it does is it pisses off the Russians. It doesn't really accomplish any goal of isolating Kaliningrad. You're not starving off, choking off Kaliningrad. If that was your goal, if your goal was to choke off and starve off Kaliningrad, you're not doing it by blocking the railway system. All you're doing is pissing off the Russians. Now, is the plan from the European Union to now start sinking Russian ferries, Russian cargo boats? If that's the plan, well, welcome to World War III. And Lithuania is going to get rolled over by the Russian military within a day, if that's the plan. If that is the plan, but I don't think that's the plan. I don't even think Ursula von der Crazy is that crazy. But yeah, they're testing the waters. You see the Duma official, the State Duma official in Russia, he said they're testing the waters. They're trying to just poke at the bear. They're trying to annoy the bear. They're testing Russia's patience. They're testing Russia's resolve. And they're doing it with moves that they don't make any strategic sense. And once again, if your goal is to starve off this enclave, if that's your goal, is to make the people of Kaliningrad suffer, you're not doing it because the Russians are just going to move everything in there by boat. So why do it in the first place? Why cut off railway in the first place? Why piss off the Russians if you're not going to be able to accomplish your goal of starving off Kaliningrad? So the whole move is once again a very ill thought out decision made out of hate rather than made out of geopolitical strategy or, I don't know, conflict strategy. There's no sense in the move whatsoever. Unless, of course, you're going to sink Russian ships. If you're going to do that in order to starve off Kaliningrad, then, once again, I'll say it again, welcome to World War III. And do svidaniya to all of the Baltic states, because Russia will immediately go on the attack, if that's the goal. But this is just being done in order to annoy the Russians. So what are the Russians going to do? They're going to sit back. They're going to use ferry boats to get to their cargo and their supplies to Kaliningrad. And then they're going to come up with some asymmetrical, very painful actions towards Lithuania and towards the European Union. What that's going to be, I don't know. But the Russians are going to think of something that is going to deliver a lot of pain to Lithuania. Economic pain, most likely. Energy, oil, gas, supplies, I don't know, commodities. They're going to think of something. They know the pressure points. They're going to find those pressure points, and they are going to hit Lithuania on those pressure points. That's what they're going to do. And it may happen in 1 month. The retaliation may happen in 6 months. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. So Lithuania accomplished nothing with this move, nothing whatsoever. This move is just being done out of hatred and hysteria and panic and Russophobia. That's why this move is being done. So let's do a clown world and we'll wrap it up. I'm here at this interesting church right here that I didn't know existed. But let's do a clown world to wrap up this video. And this clown world is coming out of Poland. This is an interesting one, a very interesting one. Polish authorities, upon request from Kiev, decided to deport Ukrainian men of mobilization age. From June 22nd, 2022, Poland will start searching for and deporting male citizens of Ukraine aged 18 to 60. This is reported immediately by a number of Ukrainian resources. In principle, given the growing involvement of Warsaw in the events in Ukraine, such actions look quite natural. It all started with the fact that the Polish authorities received a corresponding letter signed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Dmitry Kuleba. The head of Ukrainian diplomacy asked Warsaw to identify and deport to Ukraine all Ukrainian male refugees in the mobilization age. There are hundreds of thousands of them on the territory of Poland and other European countries. Now here's the interesting part. Videos of so-called ugly behavior appear regularly on social network. Refugees who swear and fight with local residents in various European countries. We see, for example, fiery patriots of Ukraine, physically strong men, who for some reason choose not to serve in the armed forces of Ukraine, but to attack Austrian taxi drivers. And this is just a single case chosen as an example, but in fact, there are many more. So we're also seeing these cases in Poland on social media networks of these very wound up, very aggressive, military-aged fighting Ukrainian men who are in EU countries, and they're avoiding the fighting in Ukraine, but they're in EU countries and they're causing all types of trouble in these EU countries. And so what's the solution from Poland? Well, from Poland, the solution is let's round up these military-aged fighting men. Let's round them up and let's send them back to Ukraine so that they can fight in the war. That is the solution. Kill two birds with one stone? There you go. Poland and many EU countries will be able to resolve their a part of what is becoming a refugee problem, and Ukraine will be able to send more men to the front lines in Donbass to be ground down by the Russian military. That is looking like it's going to be the policy. I'm not 100% sure how accurate this story is in this Clown World segment, but I do believe that that Ukraine is looking for military-aged fighting men, and I do believe that the foreign minister is looking in European countries to source those military-aged fighting men and get them to the front lines in Donbass. And I am pretty certain that the EU is trying to figure out ways to deal with what is becoming another refugee crisis. So I wouldn't be surprised if this story is, I'm not going to say 100% accurate, but I wouldn't be surprised if this Clown World story is, say, 80 to 90% accurate. And we'll find out in the next couple of weeks. We'll find out if Ukraine men of fighting age are indeed getting sent back to Ukraine in order to fight. So that is the Clown World story for today, everybody. I am going to sign out. Check out Alexander's videos. Check out the Duran's videos. Check out the Duran.locals.com. Take care.